I'm Cheryl Waters. You've got it tuned to KEXP. I am down in the studios with Tamaryn, and it's so great to have you back. You've got a new album coming out August 28th, and we are so excited to have a sneak peek of some new songs. You want to start us off with a couple?
Yeah. bottom, and my soul be your servant.
Incredible. That is Tamaryn live here in the KEXP studios with Hands All Over Me and the previous song Last, and the upcoming album Crane Kiss will be out on Mexican Summer, August 28th. What a treat to hear those songs.
Thanks.
One of them for the first time today. Tamaryn, it's so great to have you back here in the studio. We talked about the last time you played the Bumbershoot Music Lounge, and a couple years previous to that we had you here in studio, and it feels like a long time since we've seen you.
Yeah, it's been a few years, I think, since I've released an album, so...
Have you been hard at work on this new record? Has it been something you've been working on for a long time?
Yeah, I think hard's a good word.
It's got an enormous sound, and the four of you make it sound great here in this room. And Sean, who's on guitar with you today, is no stranger to the KEXP airwaves. And I understand that
also, AAP also plays in Weekend.
Oh, hey, over there. And you all sound so great. And I understand that you and Sean worked pretty closely together on this record. Can you talk a little bit about the creative magic that went into making Crane Kiss?
Yeah, I think before we put out our last albums individually, Weekend and Tamaryn, we were like exchanging demos from those records and kind of giving each other like input. And we were writing things on the side as a potential side project. And then I was deciding to work on a new album, and I asked George Elbrecht to produce the last Ariel Pink record. He's from his own two bands are big influences on me, Violins and Lansing Dryden. And so we had planned to work on the album, him and I, and Sean was like, oh, why don't you use a couple of those demos on the record? And I was like, yeah, well, only if you come and play on the whole record. And then it turned into a total like 3-writer situation where all of us kind of equally had input and wrote the whole record together. So it was super magical. Some of the songs that had, we had the chord progressions and the sounds and stuff, but they hadn't been fully crafted into actual songs. So that really happened in the studio.
I'm a big fan of your previous records, and I read a few times that you said that Crane Kiss was the album that you always dreamt of making. And I'm wondering if you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, I think that I love my last two records for sure, but I think that I had always had in my mind to do a record like this. I just never knew how. I think that with the records I did before, we were very strict about the sounds and sort of self-imposed limitations or what have you. And so, which is great because although the sounds that we were using, like the guitars and the modified amps and the space echoes, we didn't use pedals or anything like that in that band. It pushed us to just be more experimental within the songwriting itself versus like the production. But I had always wanted to do sort of like, I'm inspired by a lot of bands that have synths in them and different sounds and things that I had never experimented with. And even though on previous albums I think there's songwriting, there's a lot of range, like, although it's kind of lush guitars, there's like a more dancey gothy song, and there's kind of, on the first album there's even a song kind of sounds like Fleetwood Mac or whatever, but on this record with the production and the instrumentation, I was kind of like, nothing's off limits. So that's what I mean by that.
You're the front person for this band, but I sort of feel like you have taken a step back, not wanted to push yourself front and center in the past, and I feel like you are just right out front in this record in every way.
That's another thing when I say what I've always wanted to do, because I always think like big picture musically, and then in my old records, it didn't make sense for me to come out like, hey, what's up? I'm just gonna go for it. It was more about the overall feeling and sort of a universe we were creating that existed on its own. But on this record, there's obviously more quote-unquote pop songs, and I'm singing a bigger range and, dancing live and things like that.
Well, what I've heard so far is absolutely beautiful. The new album is Cream Kiss, out on Mexican Summer, August 28th, and we are itching to hear some more if you've got a couple more tracks.
Yeah, that'll be done.
Tamaryn's live here in the KEXP studios. That was so good. Wow.
Thanks.
So much power in this room. Playing tonight at the Sunset will be an incredible show, I know. The new album, Crane Kiss, and it's so great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Tamaryn, I heard you're living in New York. I know you've lived a number of places, San Francisco, New York a couple times, New Zealand, but someone told me that you spent some of your childhood in Roslyn, which is like an hour east of here.
Mm-hmm. I lived a lot of my elementary school years in Roslyn, also North Bend.
Oh my gosh.
I lived there while they were filming Twin Peaks, actually. And then it got canceled, and I moved to Roslyn, and they were filming Northern Exposure. So I was there during that whole time.
Does it feel like home in any way when you come through the Northwest?
Abe's also from Walla Walla, so
oh my gosh.
Washington.
Hometown band.
Yeah. I mean, I've lived all over the place, but those were definitely important places, especially Roslyn, because I lived there for on and off throughout the years.
Well, we're going to adopt you as our own local band.
I need to go back there. I don't know what it's like there now, but
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's Tamaryn here in the KEXP studios, sounding fantastic. Again, the new album Crane Kiss out August 28th, and tonight you can see them at the Sunset Tavern down in Ballard. You're listening to KEXP Seattle. That was so incredible. Thank you so much. Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.